How many times have you stopped yourself from saying what you really thought because you imagined someone judging you? How many different versions of yourself do you have to perform in a single day just to be accepted? The polite you at work, the helpful you with family, the agreeable you on social media, the you who is never too much or too little, the you who always fits. But here's a truth no one told you. The fear of being judged isn't about what others think of you. It's not. It's about what you yourself have banished from yourself in order to be loved. It's about the parts of you that you've already condemned before any external gaze could ever reach them. It's about the silent war you wage with yourself every single day, deciding what can and what cannot come into the light. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century, discovered something revolutionary about this. He called it the shadow. Not a dark and evil side, as many people think, but rather a precious repository, a locked vault where you keep everything you learned to hide in order to be accepted. Your anger, your ambition, your desire to be a priority, your loud voice, your sexuality, your need for space, everything that didn't fit into the good version of you. And there's more. Jung also spoke of the persona, the mask you wear, the character you created to survive socially. At first it protects you, but over time, it begins to suffocate you. You spend so much time performing who you should be that you forget who you really are. Today you're going to understand why the judgment of others paralyzes you so much. And more importantly, you're going to discover that the freedom you seek isn't in convincing anyone of anything. It's not in finally being approved. It's in rescuing the parts of yourself that have been exiled, in becoming whole, not good. Because deep down, you already know this. You feel it. That tiredness that never goes away. That sensation of always watching yourself. That emptiness that persists even when you're doing everything right. It's your soul asking to come home, to the only place where it truly belongs, inside you, complete and undivided. Let's go back to the beginning, to the little girl you once were. She was curious, loud, authentic. She took up space without asking permission. She laughed out loud. She cried when it hurt. She said no when she didn't want to. She was whole. But then, gradually, she started receiving messages from family, from school, from society at large. Girls don't talk like that. You're being selfish. Lower your voice. Be sweeter. Don't show anger. That's ugly. Don't be too ambitious. That's masculine. Don't take up so much space. Be selfless. Think of others first. And that intelligent little girl did what any child would do to guarantee love and safety. She adapted. She created an edited version of herself. A persona. A mask tailor-made to be accepted, to be loved, to not be abandoned. But what happened to everything else? To the anger she felt when she was silenced? To the ambition that shone in her eyes? To the sexuality that was awakening? To the desire to be selfish, to prioritize herself, to say, me first? All of it was pushed under the rug, to a dark and forbidden place, to the shadow. And with each passing year, the list grew. More parts of you were exiled, because the world taught you that to be a good woman, you need to be a palatable woman, harmless, small, who doesn't bother anyone, who doesn't threaten, who serves. This wasn't a conscious process. You didn't sit down one day and decide to betray yourself. It was a survival mechanism. You realized, still as a child, that your acceptance and your value depended on meeting expectations. And so you learned the art of performance, the art of becoming who they needed you to be. But no one warned you about the cost. No one told you that each part of yourself that you rejected was a small death, a small betrayal, a small abandonment of who you really were. Now look at where this traps you today. You're an adult now. But this programming still runs in the background, like software you don't even know is installed. Look at how it manifests. In the expression of your opinions. You want to say something in a meeting, but an inner voice asks, what if they think I'm arrogant? What if I seem aggressive? What if I'm wrong? So you silence yourself. You wait for someone else to say what you were thinking. And then you wonder why your voice isn't heard, why you're not taken seriously. It's because you censored your own voice before anyone could hear it. In your relationships, you constantly perform. The understanding partner who never complains. The available friend at any hour. The perfect mother who doesn't show tiredness. You smile when you're exhausted. You say everything's fine when it's not. You adapt. You mold yourself, you shrink, and then you wonder why no one really sees you, why you feel so alone even surrounded by people. Because what they love isn't you, it's your persona, the mask, the performance in your career. Imposter syndrome isn't about you not being good enough. It's about the fear of being unmasked. But unmasked of what? That you're ambitious? That you want power? That you're competitive? These traits were pushed into your shadow because you learned that ambitious women are selfish. Powerful women are aggressive. Competitive women are masculinized. In your self-image, the self-criticism is relentless, brutal. You tear yourself apart before anyone else can. You scan your body in the mirror with disgust. You replay conversations obsessing over what you said wrong. You compare yourself to every woman you see and find yourself lacking. This isn't self-awareness. This is you doing the work of judgment before the world can, hoping that if you punish yourself first, their rejection will hurt less. On social media, every post is carefully curated. Every photo meticulously edited, every caption rewritten 5 times. You're not sharing your life. You're performing a version of it. A version that's safe, digestible, that won't invite criticism. And even then, you still refresh obsessively, checking if you're being approved, if you're being liked, if you're being enough. And here's what you need to understand. This isn't a weakness. This isn't something wrong with you. This is the result of centuries of conditioning that taught women that their safety depended on approval. You learned to make yourself small, palatable, inoffensive. And now, this radar for external judgment has become so sensitive that it paralyzes you before you even begin. You walk into a room already scanning faces for disapproval. You speak. But there's a part of you that's outside yourself, watching, monitoring, adjusting in real time. You exist in a state of constant surveillance, and the warden isn't out there. The warden is you. But let me tell you what this really costs you, because it's so much more than you realize. Think about your energy, that exhaustion you carry in your bones that no amount of sleep can fix. It's not just tiredness. It's the fatigue of performing constantly, of never being able to rest in your own skin, of maintaining this split between who you are and who you show. Every moment of every day, you're managing your image, editing your words, controlling your expressions, suppressing your reactions. It's exhausting because you're living divided. You're maintaining 2 versions of yourself, the public and the hidden. And that division drains your life force. Your anxiety isn't random. It's not a chemical imbalance that appeared out of nowhere. It's your nervous system in a constant state of threat. Because when you've learned that your value depends on being acceptable, every interaction becomes a potential rejection. Every moment becomes an evaluation. Your body stays on high alert because it believes your survival is at stake. And in a way, it is. The survival of your belonging, your lovability, your worth, and the depression. That quiet, heavy feeling that settles over you even when everything is fine. Even when you have the job, the relationship, the life you thought you wanted. You feel empty, disconnected, like you're watching your life from behind glass, because you are. You're watching the performance of your life. But you're not in it. You're not living it. How could you feel alive when the woman living that life isn't even you? She's the persona, the acceptable version, the edited draft. Then there are those moments, the ones you're most ashamed of, when the rage explodes out of nowhere, disproportionate, scary, over something small. You snap at someone you love. You break down over a minor inconvenience. And then the guilt crushes you. What's wrong with me? Why can't I control myself? But here's the truth. That wasn't you losing control. That was your shadow finally erupting after years of being compressed. All that anger you swallowed, all that frustration you denied, all that no you never said. It doesn't disappear. It accumulates. And eventually, it detonates. And then you promise yourself you'll be better. More controlled, more careful. And the cycle tightens. Look at your relationships. Really look at them. Can anyone truly know you? I mean, really know you. The messy you, the tired you, the angry you, the selfish you, the ambitious you? Or do they know the version you've allowed them to see? You give and adapt and accommodate. You're the therapist friend, the reliable partner, the selfless mother. But when do you receive? When do you ask? When do you say, I need? You don't. Because you learned that your needs make you a burden. So you hide them. You minimize them. And then you resent people for not seeing them, for not reciprocating, for not valuing you. But how can they see what you've worked so hard to hide? How can they love you when you only show them your persona, not yourself? The loneliest place in the world is being surrounded by people who love the mask you wear. Being in a room full of connections, but profoundly alone, because no one is actually seeing you. Because you're not allowing yourself to be seen. And your creativity, where did it go? When was the last time you created something just for the joy of it, without worrying if it was good enough, if people would like it, if it would be judged? You censor yourself before you even begin. The ideas die before they're born. The art never gets made. The projects stay in your head. Because the fear of being judged has killed your willingness to be seen in your full, imperfect, raw expression. You've forgotten how to feel pleasure. Real pleasure. Not the curated, Instagram-worthy moments, but the messy, unself-conscious, present pleasure. You're so busy monitoring how you look, how you're being perceived, that you're not actually in the experience. You're performing being in the experience. And your desires, do you even know what they are anymore? What you truly want? Or have you spent so long asking yourself what's acceptable to want that you've lost touch with your authentic longing? Your body has been trying to tell you, the tension you carry in your shoulders and jaw, the digestive issues, the hormone imbalances, the exhaustion, the insomnia. Your body is screaming what your mouth hasn't been allowed to say. It's holding all the unfelt feelings, the unexpressed rage, the unmet needs. And you treat it like the enemy. Something else to control, to discipline, to make acceptable. You've learned to ignore your intuition. That quiet voice inside that knows. That gut feeling that says, this isn't right, or this person isn't safe, or I don't want this. You've overridden it so many times to be polite, to not make waves, to give people the benefit of the doubt. Because women who trust their instincts are called paranoid, dramatic, too sensitive. So you silence her. That wise inner voice gets drowned out by the chorus of external voices or internalized ones, telling you what you should think, feel, want, be mama. And maybe you've tried to fix this. God knows you've tried. You've read the books, listened to the podcasts, bought the journals. You've been told to be more confident. But how can you be confident when you're fundamentally divided? When you're at war with yourself? Confidence isn't the issue. Fragmentation is. They tell you to stop caring what other people think. As if it's that simple. As if you can just decide one day to not care. But you can't stop caring what others think of you when you still reject the same parts of yourself that you fear they'll reject. The judgment you fear out there is just a mirror of the judgment you're already inflicting on yourself. They sell you self-love practices, affirmations in the mirror, bubble baths, treating yourself. And yes, those things are nice. But they don't touch the fundamental split. They don't address the fact that you're still exiling parts of yourself. You can't love yourself into wholeness when you're still at war with your shadow. They tell you to just be yourself. And you want to laugh or cry. Because which self? The angry one you've been told is ugly? The ambitious one you've been taught is selfish? The sexual one you've been shamed for? The tired one you've been told makes you weak? You don't even know who yourself is anymore, after years of performing acceptable versions. None of these solutions work because they're treating symptoms, not the root. The root is the split between your persona and your shadow, between who you show and who you hide, between the acceptable and the exiled. And until you address that fundamental division, you'll stay trapped in the fear of judgment. Because the judgment isn't out there, it's in here. But here's where everything changes. Here's where Jung offers us a way out that no self-help book has given you. He said something that should be written on every woman's heart. I would rather be whole than good. Read that again. Feel it. I would rather be whole than good. Not perfect, not acceptable, not palatable, whole. And wholeness doesn't come from becoming a better version of your persona. It doesn't come from perfecting the mask. It comes from something radically different. Something that will change everything once you understand it. It comes from integrating your shadow. From doing what Jung called the process of individuatium. Becoming a conscious, complete individual. Not by adding more good qualities, but by reclaiming everything you've exiled. Your shadow is not your enemy. Let me say that again because every part of you has been taught to fear it. Your shadow is not your enemy. It's the treasure chest where you locked away pieces of your soul. The anger you repressed, it's your capacity to set boundaries, to protect yourself, to say no. The ambition you hid, it's your creative power, your ability to build, to achieve, to leave your mark. The selfishness you condemned, it's your healthy ability to prioritize yourself, to know that you matter, to put your oxygen mask on first. The sexuality you were ashamed of, it's your life force, your connection to pleasure, your embodied aliveness. The competitiveness you denied? It's your drive, your fire, your refusal to play small. The neediness you buried? It's your capacity for intimacy, for connection, for allowing yourself to be held. Everything you pushed into the shadow isn't bad. It's vital. It's alive. It's you. And it's been waiting for you to come back for it. Jung's process of individuation is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. It's the courageous process of retrieving all your parts, the light and the dark, and integrating them into a conscious unity. It's about unlocking all the rooms in your house that you sealed shut. Imagine your psyche as a house. For years, you've locked entire rooms. You put the anger in the basement, the sensuality in the attic, the ambition in a back room, the neediness in a closet. You show visitors only the perfectly arranged living room, the acceptable parts, the good girl parts. But you can't live in just the living room. You need the whole house. You need access to every room, every part, every piece of furniture. The work of shadow integration is unlocking those doors, one by one, turning on the lights, walking in and saying, "This is also mine. This is also me." And here's what happens when you do this. When you stop rejecting the parts of yourself you fear being judged for, the judgment of others loses its power. Not because they stop judging. They might still judge, but it doesn't matter anymore. Because you're not judging yourself. You're not at war with yourself. You're whole. When you integrate your shadow, something miraculous happens. You stop performing. Not because you've become rebellious or careless, but because you're no longer divided. There's no gap between who you are and who you're showing. The exhausting surveillance stops. The constant monitoring stops. You can finally rest in your own skin. The liberation from external judgment happens because you've stopped condemning in yourself what you feared they would condemn. They can think whatever they want. You're not at war with yourself anymore. You've made peace with all your parts. Let me show you what this looks like. Let me help you see these exiled parts differently. What you've always called too sensitive, that quality you apologize for, that you see as weakness, is actually your capacity to feel deeply, to sense nuances others miss, to connect with subtlety and emotional intelligence. It's not a flaw. It's a gift you've been taught to minimize. What you feared as selfishness, that instinct to prioritize yourself, to put your needs first sometimes, is not moral failure. It's healthy self-preservation. It's the knowledge that you cannot pour from an empty cup. It's the wisdom that your life, your energy, your time are precious and deserve to be honored. By you first. What you hid as masculine ambition, that drive to create, to achieve, to build something significant in the world, is not unfeminine. It's your power to manifest. It's your refusal to stay small. It's your soul saying, "I am here to do something that matters." That's not something to hide. That's your life force demanding expression. What you suppressed as ugly anger, that heat that rises when your boundaries are violated, when you're disrespected, when injustice happens, is not a character flaw. It's your strength. It's your capacity to protect yourself. It's your body's wisdom saying, "This is not okay." Anger is the guardian at the gate. Without it, you have no boundaries. Without it, you're defenseless. What you judged as too sexual, that aliveness in your body, that pull toward pleasure, that hunger for touch and sensation, is not shameful. It's your life energy. It's your connection to the primal, creative force that moves through all living things. It's your embodiment. It's what makes you feel alive in your skin. Why would you exile that? What you condemned as needy, that desire for connection, for reassurance, for being held, is not weakness. It's your humanity. It's your capacity for intimacy. It's what allows you to truly let someone in. Needing is not the opposite of strength. It's the foundation of real relationship. Do you see it now? Everything you pushed away, everything you were taught to fear in yourself, everything you thought made you unlovable, it's all been your power, your vitality, your wholeness, waiting to be reclaimed. And when you bring these parts back into the light, when you integrate your shadow, something profound shifts. You stop dividing yourself into acceptable and unacceptable. You stop fracturing yourself into performable and shameful. You become one woman, whole, complete, integrated. There's a peace that comes with this that's unlike anything you've experienced. It's not the peace of being accepted by everyone. That's impossible and exhausting. It's the peace of accepting yourself, all of yourself. It's the deep exhale of finally laying down the weapons you've been turning on yourself. You no longer wake up planning your performance for the day. You wake up as yourself, one self. Not fragmented into the work you, the family you, the social you. Just you. You speak and you're not simultaneously monitoring yourself. You're not watching from outside, checking if you sound okay. You're just speaking. From your center, from your truth. And if someone disagrees or disapproves, it's okay. Their opinion is just that, an opinion. It doesn't shake your foundation because your foundation isn't built on their approval anymore. It's built on your own integration. You make decisions from your gut, from that deep knowing, instead of from the anxious calculation of, what will people think? You choose the job that calls you, not the one that looks impressive. You leave the relationship that's slowly killing you, instead of staying because, what would people say? You say no without elaborate explanations or apologies. You say yes only when you mean it. Your relationships transform. Because now you can be truly known, not the persona, you. The messy, complex, beautifully human you. And yes, some people will leave. The ones who were attached to your mask, to your performance, to your service. And that will hurt. But it's necessary. Because for the first time, the people who stay, the people who love you, they're loving the real you. And that love reaches you. It lands. It nourishes. Because there's no longer a wall between you and it. You create freely. You stop asking, is this good enough? Because you've stopped measuring your worth by external validation. You make the art, write the words, start the project. Not for applause, but for the pure joy of expression, for the satisfaction of bringing something from inside you into the world. Your body becomes your home again, not your enemy. You listen to it. Rest when it's tired. Feed it when it's hungry. Move it when it wants to move. You stop punishing it for not being perfect. You stop monitoring it for acceptability. It's yours. It's you. And it's been trying to guide you all along. The surveillance stops. That constant watchfulness. That exhausting self-monitoring. You're no longer the prisoner and the guard. You're free, finally free. Not because you've convinced the world you're acceptable, but because you've stopped needing their verdict. You've already given yourself permission to exist, fully, completely, without apology. This is what Jung meant by wholeness. This is the liberation that comes not from perfecting your persona, but from integrating your shadow, not from becoming more acceptable, but from becoming more real. And the most beautiful part? When you're no longer afraid of being judged for who you are, you can actually be rejected for who you are. And that's not a tragedy. That's integrity. That's freedom. Because the alternative, being accepted for who you're pretending to be, that's the real prison. So this week, I want to invite you to do something radical, something simple but profound. Pay attention to the moments when you censor yourself. Notice them. It might be an opinion you swallow in a conversation, a desire you deny before you even fully feel it, an emotion you label as inappropriate before you allow yourself to experience it, a boundary you don't set, a yes you say when you mean no. When you catch yourself in that moment of self-censorship, pause. Don't judge it. Don't try to fix it yet. Just ask yourself, what part of me is trying to exist here? What did I exile that's asking to come back? Is it your anger trying to protect you? Your ambition wanting to be seen? Your need for rest begging to be honored? Your desire for pleasure asking for permission? Your truth waiting to be spoken? You don't have to act on it yet. You don't have to suddenly unleash everything you've been holding back. That's not the point. For now, just observe. Just acknowledge. Just recognize that these parts exist. That they're yours. That they've been waiting. This is how you begin to integrate your shadow. Not through a dramatic transformation overnight, but through small acts of recognition. Through witnessing yourself without judgment. Through saying, I see you, to the parts you've been trained to ignore. Tell me in the comments, what part of you is tired of hiding? What trait have you always condemned in yourself? That might actually be a piece of your power trying to emerge. I want to know. And I want you to name it. Because naming it is the first step in reclaiming it. The fear of judgment only paralyzes you while you're still at war with yourself. When you integrate your shadow and become whole, the gaze of others stops being a sentence. It's just another gaze in a world full of them. And you, finally free from the prison of approval, can live.